Football fans, Gooners, welcome to another edition of the Positively Uncensored Arsenal. Today is our Newcastle Arsenal match review, and as usual, I have as my expert my colleague and friend Blackburn George of the Positively Arsenal blog. George, how are you doing?
I'm all right.
You're smiling, George. Last week I had major problems for the Sheffield game. I don't know if you have ever experienced it. Remember the audience, you have one of these smart TVs and the night before a game, it just goes completely black. Have you that ever happened to you, George?
No.
Well, if you ever had that, it's the most strange event because, this is the first time it ever happened to me. Anyway, that aside, George, yesterday our time was the Newcastle Arsenal match, a battle royal from start to finish, ended disappointingly for Arsenal. And amongst the Twitterati, the fans of Arsenal, there's a major debate in the post-match whether it was a poor performance by Arsenal or poor refereeing or a combination of the both. Now, Georgia and I know that in the Arsenal sphere, everything is black and white. Are you in the black and white, or you have nuances to offer, George? Tell me. I don't know.
I think we've got to split it into two distinct categories.
Yes.
How the match was refereed and officiated, and how Arsenal played.
Correct.
They're not related, really, although certainly the refereeing has an effect on the play. But let's start with the refereeing, shall we? It's as simple as this. We were robbed. We were cheated. And I can't quite wrap my head around it. The first incident, Kai Havertz, the foul that could have been a red, so they say.
You mean
when he dived in,
flouting him with his elbow?
No, when Kai Havertz dived in and didn't get sent off.
Oh, yes. I remember that. I was going to ask you about that, actually. I thought
that was the first incident, really.
Yes.
And I think it was a yellow.
Yes.
Was he out of control? Yes, a little bit. But was it dangerous? Not really, because the foot he led with missed by a mile. He was never going to make contact with the player. He was going for the ball, and the ball was quite some way away from the player. It wasn't like he was stood facing him with the ball. So it was the trailing leg that caught him, and it wasn't dangerous play, but it was a bit reckless.
Yeah, lucky for him, that trailing leg was low, George. Lucky for him.
Yes, but it was low. It wasn't a scissor kick. He didn't come on from the side. I don't think it met the criteria for a red card.
Yes.
So the fact that he made another sliding tackle later on in the game, that's a bit more dubious as to whether he could have been sent off there for a second yellow, but we got away with that.
Yes.
Bruno clouted him at the back of the head, and I've never seen a more blatant sending off in my life. I mean, you see people get sent off for accidentally touching people's throat when they mean to push them in the chest and their hand slips, touches the throat. He literally forearm smashed him on the way back. He took Jorginho couldn't dive because he didn't even see it coming. It knocked him off his fucking feet. Right. He had no idea it was coming. It wasn't like he thought, "Oh, I'll go down here," and he got knocked off his fucking feet with a forearm smash. It's a good wrestling move. You know, how they can not send him off for that.
What they call the clothesline him.
Well, no, the clothesline's a different one. The clothesline's from the front, but it was a definite forearm smash, and there's no question that he should have been sent off. Mm-hmm. Now, the goal that was not disallowed, in my opinion.
Before you go there, George.
Yeah.
Bruno also threw his hand in the throat of the face or somewhere near it. That's violent.
He threw his hand in the throat of Vieira. Unfortunately, Vieira went down clutching his face.
Yes, that was not a foul.
So,
that was deception.
So I'm not having that. If he'd have gone down clutching his throat, he might have got a decision.
Yes.
But you can't put it in the throat and clutch your face.
Right.
So I think Vieira was coming it a bit there. But Bruno, that could have been a booking as well. I mean, he ended up with one booking. He should have had a straight red and probably 2 or 3 other yellows.
By the way, George, because we'll miss it, Gabriel did the same thing too, later down the second half. He went clutching his face when there was clearly in his chest or somewhere in his face. And the simulation thing, we gotta admit that we at Arsenal we love to do that as well. It's not uncommon. We're not quiet boys.
We're not
that one.
Yeah, we're not above cheating, are we?
Yeah.
But anyway, on to the goal.
Yes.
It should have been ruled out for at least 3 things. Minimum. The first one, the ball looked clearly out. However, there is an argument to say you can't see. You can't tell from that camera angle because it might have been overhanging in some way. Just like the ball looks like it's out the quadrant when they're taking a corner kick and it's not.
Right.
Yeah. That's a possibility. So we'll give them that. Accept that. It didn't absolutely 100% go out and they couldn't confidently say it did. However, the next thing, Gabriel was absolutely 100% fouled.
Pushed in the back, George.
Pushed in the back.
Now,
people will say, oh, they should have been stronger. These things. I've said this before. It's impossible to be stronger once your feet are off the ground. You can't be stronger. Your feet are off the ground. A child can push you over when you're in the air. He would have headed the ball away. The only reason he didn't head it was because he was pushed. It was a foul. Goal should have been ruled out. Now, even if you don't rule it out for that absolute 100% certain thing, the ball then goes on to hit Joe Linton's arm.
I didn't see that.
Well, his arms were outstretched where Gabriel's head should have been.
Okay.
The ball comes in to that spot and hits Linton on the arm. There's a still photograph of it showing that it hit the arm. That means the goal should have been ruled out. Under the current rules, even accidental handball, the goal gets chalked off if it's part of the goal action.
Right.
So that's 2 things, 100%, both of them written off. And then he was offside. And the reason they didn't give it offside, they said there was no moment that they could stop and draw the lines from. Because
the ball was between
Correct.
Gabriel.
Okay. Yeah. If you accept that, the point is there is also no moment when the ball is in that area that it could have been onside. It was offside for the entire duration of the ball being all the stills that they could have picked. Every one from the beginning to the end, it was offside. So it should have been ruled out for offside as well. So 3 of the 4 are absolutely 100% no goal. And the only one you can allow them is the ball out of play, which looked out of play, but you can't absolutely 100% say it wasn't. Therefore, I could understand they went with the on-field decision. There was a similar one in the World Cup where a goal was given and it looked out and it wasn't out. And I think they proved that in the end. But, it was a shocking series of incompetence, Even if all they said was, go and have a look at the monitor and see if this is a foul. If they're saying, well, we don't think it was serious enough to overrule the referee, the on-field referee. Well, you're not overruling him. You're giving him the chance to look at it. Just have a look at this. And he would have seen it and it would have been ruled out. So they're protecting the on-field referee in order not to. They're trying to give the goal because the referee's given the goal, and it was shocking, really. And I understand why Mikel Arteta is furious.
Yes.
And I'm glad he said what he did. I think he was right to say it. And he'll no doubt get a hefty fine for it, but the club should pay that. And we should back him to the hilt. They should release a statement saying that they back everything that Arteta said, and it's not good enough, because it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It cost us at least a point, because we were marginally, in my opinion, in control of the game. Not necessarily the better team, but we were the one controlling the tempo of the game. Mm-hmm. And I think that the chances are, I know it sounds silly, but defending, you defend more vigorously the 3 points than you would the 1 point.
Yes, there's a.
You know what I'm saying?
A psychology to it, yes. Yes.
They've got the 3 points. It's there. They've got the goal. They're desperate to fucking keep it. If it was 0-0, they'd be trying to play out, and they would be trying to create chances themselves, which would have given us more opportunity to score. Of course, they might have scored from that. They might have won the game anyway.
Yes.
But the chances are, because we were better in control of the game, massively territorially in control of the game, I think we lost at least 1 point. That's not. I don't think that's in question. It's just a shocking decision.
Well, George, when I looked at it and I posted on Twitter, just for everybody to see, I thought the push was so blatant. I mean, you do the forensic, but the question to you is not so much what I think. How many of the audience members here? I had a feel. I just had this feeling down in the belly of my stomach that the refs are going to give a hometown decision, especially given the impact of the Saudi money. You remember the game where the top referee from England, the one who's a World Cup ref, did. I can't remember the game, but he gave a similarly hometown decision to Newcastle, and it was all reported that he had been in Saudi Arabia during the international break doing a game. The point I'm saying, you should be like Caesar's wife. You should be beyond reproach if you're in the a member of the refereeing fraternity. And George, I'm sorry to say this, but English refereeing has become tainted. It's week after week, very clear decisions that we can see from miles away. They have Georgia had the benefit of VAR cameras. There are like 20 odd cameras in the stadium. For heaven's sake, I don't get it. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't get it either, because people keep saying, VAR's the problem. VAR is not the problem, because if you and I were in that VAR office looking at those replays, we would get the decision right. Not just for Arsenal. Most of them that you see there was 2 penalties, the penalty against Wolves yesterday and the penalty against them last week. Never penalties in a million years. Everybody who knows anything about the game could see they weren't penalties, but they gave them and they lost the game. They've lost, potentially 6 points, but certainly they've lost 2 points. It's just, and it's not the technology.
Yes.
It's not. It's the fucking standard of the guys in the office getting it wrong.
Well, we saw the VAR in the last World Cup, George, and I mean, there's a lot more at stake, and they didn't have that level of controversy. I don't get it.
You have to be careful with your conspiracy theories, but I tweeted today, if they can give Saudi Arabia the World Cup, I'm sure a few goals aren't out of the question.
you know, the PGMOL sold its soul a long time. We kept saying this, George. Game 50 against Arsenal, Mike Riley, and then he became the chairman or whatever you call him. It's been a downhill for a long time. I mean, I come from the old school. You can see that in the white in my hair. When English refereeing was pristine, prestige, and I mean, I'm not saying England is perfect.
Sometimes we look back with tinted glasses. We had some pretty fucking useless referees back in the day, but we didn't have the technology and the cameras to show just how incompetent they were. I suspect they were just as incompetent as the ones now, but there's no need for them to be this incompetent. That's the point. VAR should aid them and assist them and make the decision-making better, and it doesn't. And it's a problem because it makes people like us throw your hands up and say it's corrupt. It can only be corruption because some of the decisions are so bad that it beggars belief, and it looks like it must be corruption because you cannot be that bad at your job. You've been given that job. You're trained in that job. You can't be that bad unless you're fucking corrupt. That's what you end up thinking. And anyway, that's that.
Yeah. I mean, may I say this last remark, George, if I may? Just a comment that you may respond. I mean, you remember automatically when there's a shove in the penalty area, a push, free kicks, corners, anything, the ref's whistle goes. This is, I mean, we're not talking about, this is not rocket science, George. I don't know. I'm living a parallel.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's the simplest of decisions. It's a foul. It's a blatant foul. And how they and what worries me is Sky Sports are coming on pundit after pundit trying to this nonsense. There's no honesty and integrity from anybody, not the TV companies. And you can't just listen to fans either, because we're all biased. We want a penalty when it's not a penalty. We want things chalked off when they shouldn't be chalked off. You can't just take Arsenal fans' word for it on an Arsenal game. But it's you can understand why people are saying scrap VAR, because I think the referees are making decisions or not making decisions, thinking that VAR will make it for them. And of course, VAR then let that lack of a decision be compounded by not wanting to interfere with what the referee's given in the first place. They give a goal, it looks offside, but I'll give it a goal, VAR will sort it out. And the same with a foul, a penalty. Well, it's a goal unless VAR tell me different. And then VAR don't want to tell them different because that'll undermine the referee. So the lack of decision-making in the first place is being compounded by the reluctance of the VAR team to undermine the referees. It's a ridiculous cycle that they're in. And if you did scrap it, they would have to go back to making the decision which was their best guess. And that's, but there's no need. It's a travesty because VAR should work. And like you said, it works in fucking Europe. It works in the World Cup. Why can it not work in England? Do they not want it to work? I don't fucking know.
George, I'm going to end this up by putting my hand in the ear. I was for VAR, but then I saw that it was being corrupted, and you remember that blog, I ended it. But guys, I am guilty as hell. I thought it would make a difference after all injustices that Arsenal has suffered. But then I also realized that Arsenal fans are no different from others. I mean, yesterday, Newcastle fans were saying that the refs are in favor of Arsenal. And, there's that thing throughout the league that that Arsenal gets the breaks from VAR. They've never seen Manchester United, apparently. George,
Well, that
let's
Manchester
talk
United
about.
do that.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
But Manchester United have also been on the receiving end of some bad VAR decisions.
Yes, yes.
I think
Well, I'm
the
talking
system's
about
fucked. I don't
Sir
think it's
Alex's
fucked in
Manchester
favour.
United, George.
I don't think it's particularly fucked in favour. Liverpool have suffered.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's easy to say it's the picking on us, but I'm not sure it's not just complete incompetence from the VAR officials, and not even the referees. I think the referees are to blame for a dependency on VAR these days, but not particularly for the incorrect decisions. I mean, I saw Anthony Taylor got demoted to the championship for a penalty he gave, but VAR didn't ask him to review it.
Yes.
So who's to blame? VAR should have asked him to review it. He made the decision, and they said check complete. As far as he's concerned, he's made the right decision then.
Right. That is the one where they said they meant
carry on with the game. But he hasn't made the right decision. And if VAR had said to him, have another look at this, Anthony, and he'd gone over and said, oh, yeah, that's a penalty, or it's not a penalty, changed his mind, he wouldn't have got demoted this week because he wouldn't have made the wrong decision. So it's VAR's fault for not making the right decision. We accept that referees only get one look at it. Yes. But if you get multiple looks from multiple angles, the margin of error should be minuscule. And it's not minuscule, it's fucking huge.
George, let's move on. There's another school of thought that we only had one shot on target. And actually, George, I'll share some stats with you. As usual, I like to give data. Where is this thing? Come on. Why are you not showing? This is a new guys. My software wasn't working this time around. Let's see what's going on. Anyway, George, we only had one shot on goal. I'm not getting it up. It should come up, but here it goes. Yes, there it goes, George. Yeah, we had 2 shots on target according to the no, that's Newcastle. We had 1 shot on target. Newcastle had 2. We had 9 shots. They had 14, and it says we had 60% or more or so possession to their 41%. But there's a body of opinion that the performance was poor. Your thoughts on this?
Well, I thought the game was poor.
Pardon?
It wasn't good, that's for sure. Yes. But a lot of it wasn't good because of how Newcastle played. And I don't mean the fact that they were over physical, which I thought they were at times. Oh, yeah. But they doubled up on Saka and they doubled up on Martinelli, which gave us nothing from the wings. And
by the way, George, Dan Burns did a number on Saka, and people seem to forget the first half. He fouled him repeatedly until his back gave out.
Well, they rotationally fouled him, actually. It wasn't just one burn. But regardless of
Burns
that,
put 3 fouls on him, George. 3 crunching fouls on him, and didn't even get a yellow card.
Correct. But anyway, if they're going to double up on Martinelli and Saka, which they did, and I can tell you, other teams have done it and it's worked, and more teams will do it because it's been seen to working. We're going to get this all the time now, doubling up.
Yes.
Right?
And drop the defensive midfielder in defense to shore that up. Well, like Joe Linton, because you're gonna be having an extra man, doubling up. So you have to drop somebody back, and they're doing it successfully. Go ahead, George.
So the answer to that is you now have 2 people on Martinelli or Saka. To counter that, the fullbacks have to make overlapping runs. And Ben White, to be fair, did. But Saka never gave him the ball. He always turned inside and met up with the two guys that were facing him, lost the ball, and it ended up in nothing. So if that's going to be a regular pattern, which it will be because it worked, we created one shot on goal, one shot on target.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly it worked. Other teams will do it, and we have to find a way around it. And that's either the fullbacks overlapping, or one of the
Tomiyasu is not. Tomiyasu on the other side is not an overlapper, George. I don't, give him all the credit. His defensive is good, but he's going forward is not, the greatest.
No, he's not. But Zinchenko's not an overlapper either. He's going inside, and so he's not able to do it either. So we're going to have to find an answer to that, and the answer, of course, is, as I said, or work your way through the middle.
Yes, and there was no Odegaard to work, and there was no Odegaard to work the way to the middle, by the way.
And use Saka and Martinelli to finish the job, to be running in, to put the ball in, like Salah and your man Mane when he was at Liverpool. Don't necessarily get them to build up the play. Yeah. It's all right that when it's working, if it's 1 versus 1, that's fine. But once they start doubling up on you, it won't work. And we have to find a way to counter that. And Mikel Arteta has not, as yet, found a way to stop that. You see it with Manchester City. They try and stop the wingers. So what do? They play through the middle. They find a way. However you set up against them to stop them, they play another way. And we're going to have to do that if we're going to make progress, because we're not making progress. We've not played well again this week. We lost to fucking West Ham 3-0 during the week. This isn't good enough. We've not played well this year. I don't care. People will tell you, we've got more points against the same teams than we did last season, and blah, 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 blah. But I watched the games and we're not playing well. And eventually, the results, the performances are reflected in the results. And we saw that yesterday. We didn't play well enough to win the game yesterday. We didn't create enough. We didn't create fuck off. If you've got 80% possession from 60 minutes onwards and don't manage a fucking shot on target, there's something wrong.
By the way, George, what do you think? Has Saka become a one-trick pony? He's coming down and we know that he's going to come inside. Even Martinelli, although Martinelli will go to the byline sometimes. Rarely Saka goes to the byline. And I was thinking about that because, I see, I saw the guy Dako, if his pronunciation is right, from Manchester City. He's a winger, but he came inside yesterday, provided chances to the Portuguese fellow, and also to Foden, just by coming inside and creating havoc, and they're getting they finish well, but he's not getting inside in a manner that you would expect. Of course, I was thinking, let me just throw this out we are playing inverted wingers, right? So Dako is not playing inverted, only if so I'm wondering, is this some? I'm just throwing this out to the audience and to you. If we need to reconsider our we need to have some more tactical flexibility.
I'm going to, well, of course we should. Like I say, if they're doubling up on you, which they do with Saka, they can't leave Saka on his own, one-on-one. They know that. So Saka has to lay the ball off and play it. They can't keep rinsing and repeating the same things that he's been doing when they stop working because everybody else has cottoned onto it. Right. But as far as that guy, Manchester City, is going, you might have to consider that he's more effective because he's better.
Well,
He's one hell of a fucking player.
that,
You know.
yes,
And I know we all want to say Saka's a star boy, but fucking hell, that fucking lad can play at Manchester City.
Yes. Well, he twists and turns. But the
Both
point, that's
feet.
why I asked the question, George. Is Saka a one-trick pony?
No, he's not a
I
one-trick
think he's
pony.
more talented than that. Go ahead.
That's an oversimplification of it saying
Yes.
he's a one-trick pony. You know, but he does turn to come inside on that left foot, and it's predictable, and they know it. He's going to have to go to the byline more often, as is Martinelli. But having said that, what's the fucking point getting to the byline, crossing it into nobody?
And Nketiah is not a tall one, George. I mean,
We have to get more people in the box, and we have to be more flexible with our tactics because they've found us out, I think. Yeah. You know, they've seen our patterns of play, and these other fucking managers, they might not be fucking Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp, but they're all at the top of the game, and they all know what's going on, and they can all see a way of stopping us. Now,
by the way, George,
can't always stop us, of course, because sometimes we're very good at what we do, and they can't stop us. But they're stopping us more and more regularly.
Yeah, I'm anxious.
And we're not as good as we were last season for the very reason I keep saying the loss of Xhaka has just emphasised how important he was to the team. We don't look anything like as good without him.
Yeah.
So
well, because he can you know why he was also important, George, because he was able to adapt in game as well. But George, talking about managers, I thought Eddie Howe did a master job. I mean, I think his on-field management, and for example, when he took Joe Linton from over the left side to help on the right side because Martinelli was getting too much joy. I mean, he wasn't going by a formula. You know, I just thought that you need to respect your opposition just for the benefit of the audience. And I just thought I should mention that. George, if you don't mind, I was shocked, by the way, with I'm gonna tell you, these people from I like who scored, by the way. I don't tell me wrong. I think they tried their best. But look at this. They gave for us, they gave Martinelli 7.3. And they gave Magalhaes what's his name? 7.0 and Saliba 6.3. Gabriel Magalhaes. And I was like, what game were they watching? Because I thought it was a toss-up between Rice and Saliba in terms of our best players. I don't know if you... I mean, this is the eye test. I even dug out some stats, but I want to hear your opinion first of all. Let's see if I can...
Well, I saw exactly the same as you. I thought Saliba was magnificent, and I thought Declan Rice was not far behind him. The rest were sort of very average. I thought Saka and Martinelli were poor because they didn't, not because they lost the ball or didn't create anything, but because they didn't adapt the tactics when it was obvious how they were stopping them playing. You have to fucking change. You have to. And I think, I've said this before, one of the problems is they just carry on doing what they've been told to do until Mikel Arteta from the sideline tells them to do something different. Well, it's too fucking late then. They have to make the decisions. They have to decide to change the game, to change the way of playing, to adapt. And I don't think we can, and I don't think we do, and I think a lot of the reason we don't is fear of not doing as they're told and finding themselves out the team because they played a different way to they were told to play. And we've seen it before that if they try and adapt and do something different and it doesn't work, they get the blame because they get told that they didn't put into action the tactics that had been talked about, and therefore it's their fault. So,
Ozil fell. I mean, there have many reasons, but Ozil fell on his sword because of that. He had an idea of how the game should be played from all reports. I mean, Arteta and him didn't see eye to eye on how the game should be played. That is water under the bridge, but his style is you play according to my tactics, and I don't see the flexibility. We mentioned that already. By the way, George, before we go, before we wrap up, there's a lot of criticism for David Raya on that.
I don't see it,
and I don't know why. I mean, that he didn't come and fetch the ball, and I find that strange. The ball was crossed. He had to, it was out of his reach. He was trying to fight with Gabriel and with Joe Linton for that ball. He missed it. And I don't know, George. That's just one incident. Maybe you can't use one incident.
I don't see it at all. I don't see the criticism of him at all. There was a lot of mistakes made, apart from the fact that it should have been chalked off for at least three reasons. We also made some mistakes. Gabriel having a fucking swipe at the ball and missing it altogether. And when Will kept it in,
quote unquote,
Ben White just fucking let him run in and cross the ball. He should have gone out.
Yes, that's true. That's true, George. Because he was comfortable that the ball was going out.
Jorginho was telling him to go.
Sorry, George. Sorry. I was just saying Ben White apparently was comfortable that the ball was going out.
Well, even if he was comfortable and the thought it had gone out, the fact is that when the wet whistle didn't blow and Willock had the ball, he should have gone out to close him down. But he didn't. And he was being told to do so by Jorginho. Jorginho, as soon as they didn't blow the whistle, Willock was still in the corner. Jorginho was screaming and pointing for him to go and close him down. And he didn't. He just let him fucking waltz in and put in the cross.
Why they blaming Raya for not claiming that? I don't think he had two big old lumbering people in front of him.
Oh, well, I read somewhere saying it's his fault because he's not tall enough.
Oh, geez.
Fucking hell. Gordon Banks would never have played fucking in goal, would he? It's ridiculous. It's like it's a bandwagon that people are fucking jumping on, and I don't see it at all myself. I think he's a far better keeper than Ramsdale, and I don't see I also believe that a lot of what they're saying is his bad positioning is him doing what he's fucking told he has to do, rather than making mistakes. I don't see him making mistakes. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying he's fucking Buffon, but he's a decent keeper, and he offers us far more than Ramsdale.
Yeah. He might not be the he might not be an Alisson. Alisson's a little taller. I don't know if Alisson or the fellow from City. What's his name again, George? City goalkeeper. I think Alisson is number 2 in Brazil. The City goalkeeper is number 1. What's his name again? Edison, yeah. But anyway, he's not maybe the Edison or Alisson, but I think I tend to agree with you. But I'll just leave it at this. I know there's a lot of people are beginning. You say things, and people probably poo-poo it. But for example, I see more people saying we're not the same team with Xhaka, and these are not people who automatically follow your line of thinking. But a lot of times the things that you say come to pass, and I'm not saying everything you say is right. So, George, your final word. We have done nothing on. I've sing-song my praises of your opinions enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, a terrible result because of how it happened. I think a draw would have been a fair result, but more worrying than that is the fact that, we're 10, 11, 12 games in, however many we've played, and we've not hit anything like the heights that we hit last season, despite the points total. And I fear, we're not going to, I said this from the word go, there is no way we're winning the league. We're just not. I ran a poll on Twitter and 75% thought we were going to win the league this season. And I know that's fans being fans, but be realistic. You watched Manchester City yesterday and then think we're going to win the league. Jesus.
Yeah, they demolished
Bournemouth
really, George.
I think we'll have done well if we get top 4.
Yes. I think we will. I don't have any doubt about it. But
I think we'll have to improve dramatically to get top 4. I think we'll have to be a lot better than we have been up until now to get top 4.
Well, let's just leave it at that, guys. What are your opinions? Share your comments with us. We are and your likes and whatever. I know we don't say the usual things that people like. Are predisposed to hear because we're simply Arsenal fans. We just want to give an honest opinion. Thank you, George.
Thank you.
We'll get together
See you
again
next week.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye.